Welcome back to Death Metal Pug. I'm Pug Jam. I want to be a rock star when I grow up. The purpose of this is to have fun and talk about music. If for some reason we can help out your band, project, or business, please reach out to us at deathmetalpug@gmail.com. Thanks again to Nate Garrett from Spirit Adrift for our intro song. Reminder, Death Metal Pug does not have social media, and you should just go outside instead. I'd like to thank John Davis for being on last week's episode. You a good boy. You a good boy. Let's get our Oktoberfest on. This is the greatest Oktoberfest beer. Einger's Oktoberfest. True German. Oak Creek Brewery. That doesn't exist anymore. I think that was in Arizona or something like that. Prost.
Iron Maiden.
We're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to comment on some information that came out in a Decibel magazine. A lot of folks have asked about Death Metal Pug. It sounds like we've inadvertently not mixed him into the last few episodes. He's fine and well. He's down here. Everything's good. He's a little sore. He recently had a teeth cleaning happen, so that can be a little tough on him. But everything's good, and it's part of like his health and maintenance. So Death Metal Pug says hello to everybody. Wanted to comment actually on this kind of interesting Decibel Magazine. So this is the September Decibel Magazine issue, and I know the magazine issues are like kind of ahead, and it's September now, so I'm actually like this is actually a issue behind. Actually, it's the Black Braid issue. So there was a interesting thing in here that got me thinking, right? And Decibel Magazine is great thing that we have an actual print publication, has information in it, reviews and stuff. If you don't have it, buy this magazine. They'll even give you a subscription with like a record with it. If you're into that kind of thing. You know, not the number one thing I turn to in Decibel Magazine is the letter from the editor section here. But I did, right? So this magazine's a little beaten up. I generally put this in the bathroom. And I don't have it behind the toilet or anything like that, cliche actually. What I do is I just kind of read it while I have little moments in time. So while I'm brushing my teeth or just other kind of moments that I can take with. If I get lucky, I'll travel or something. I'll get to read one like front to back, a magazine. So from the editor section, it was just kind of interesting. And I wanted to go over that. So the editor who does this is Albert Mudrian, Mudrian, and he had a couple of interesting, an interesting perspective on him turning 50, and then just like the history of like extreme music. So Albert goes on to say in this, by the time you read this, I'll be 50. For the better part of 12 months, I've been telling people it's not that big a deal, and you know what? I almost believe it. As it relates to Decibel, it's clearly not consequential, as plenty of artists are prominently featured each month, not to mention several of the contributors who cover them have also recently scheduled their first colonoscopies. When I started Decibel, I was barely still in my 20s. Back then I wondered, how long are we allowed to do this? And by this, I meant be an active part of the extreme metal scene. Beyond Morbid Angel and the Nile Guys, and once and future Autopsy guitarist Danny, no prominent musicians were really in their 40s at the time. Of course, there were the traditional bands like Priest, Maiden, and Sabbath, who already began their fourth decades and were rightly considered living legends, but extreme metal, in its established death and black metal forms at least, didn't even have 20 years of history in its gore-caked name. And, you know, that kind of struck me. So, in my timeline, I can't help but be a little selfish about this in the perspective. So I was born in 1977, and I'm not quite 50 like Albert. But I graduated high school in 1995. I graduated college in 1999. And to think back, this Decibel Magazine, just over about 20 years old, I believe, 22, 23, something in there, I think. Just like how long extreme music's been around hasn't really been that long when you consider other types of music or art forms, right? Albert goes on to say, right, talking about his career, it's just difficult because it's like having a real job versus being in the music industry, turning 50, that kind of thing. And what's the rule book on this, right? Heavy music, I mean, shoot. If I think about the coincidence in my timeline and kind of living through this, it's always been about discovering certain kind of bands and kind of listening to stuff and going towards, for me at least, the next step. Like, what's heavier? What's faster? What's kind of interesting, right? Like I referenced, by the time I'd finished high school, right, I'd heard all of the hard rock, heard all the legacy big bands, right? I'd already gone through stuff like the hair metal, how I got into music, listening to the harder rock stuff, right? I was always drawn to the heavier songs of the glam metal scene, whether it be Poison, whether it be Skid Row, whether it be Motley Crue, those type of bands, and even Kiss and stuff like that. Listen to those, I just kind of kept going and going. You hear Nirvana, Alice in Chains, grunge, all that stuff broke while I was in high school, right? We roamed around wearing the flannel shirts. I've seen Nirvana live. I've seen Alice in Chains with Lane Staley live. I saw a lot of that kind of stuff back then. Pantera's Far Beyond Driven tour was the first Pantera tour I saw. By 1994 or so, I had heard Far Beyond Driven and Carcass's Heartwork album, and basically that just exploded all the rest of the extreme music for me, extreme metal music for me, opened up everything. The first Cannibal album I heard was Tomb, of course. The first Morbid Angel album I heard was Covenant. I think that was their most recent release. When I picked that up, for Deicide, it was Once Upon the Cross, so that kind of makes sense in the timeline. I believe that was 1994 as well. At the Gates, Dream Theater, Typo Negative, Korn, all that stuff was heard. And at the time, all the new metal was mixed in, and we just called it metal at the time. It wasn't that we were totally compartmentalizing it. Maybe especially the fact at a young age, right? And I just listened to different kind of shit during that time. I'll give you a good example of a concert a little bit later that just had all kinds of variety to it that you would not expect nowadays. So from 1995 to 1999, every single metal genre opened up for me. Black metal, grindcore, weird shit, what's known as new metal now, just every single thing, right? So in the 80s, everything was invented. In the 90s, death metal took off, got perfected, and black metal just exploded as well, right? By 1999, graduating college, I'd heard Dillinger, AFI, Cradle, Emperor in Flames, Immortal, Opeth, Slipknot, Angel Corse, Monstrosity, Napalm Death. I always say I grew up in the 90s, right? Because graduating high school in 95, graduating college in 99, that kind of thing was a big part of that music. I worked, worked is not a good word. I volunteered at the college radio station, so I had a means at which to sometimes get some albums. So companies, at least at the time, record companies would send promo discs to radio stations. They wanted their stuff played on the air, right? So you just kind of get stuff. I also hooked them up with a couple of advertisements. So I went around and hustled up some people to advertise, including a local record store in our town in college. So I had a little bit of latitude then to kind of pick out albums and stuff. So I would buy metal albums for the radio station and kind of play that. The non-metal the non-metal program that I did back then was with my college roommate. We had the #1 radio station on campus 3 years in a row. That one we didn't play so much, like a lot of like deep into metal kind of stuff, because it was meant to be a little bit more open for the rest of the college, you know, to kind of like be a part of, and not, you know, scare them away with the Cannibal Corpse or Carcass or anything back then. But it's interesting to kind of think about like Decibel's tenure and just the tenure of extreme music being not that old. And, you know, I want to thank Albert for his comments, because it really got me kind of thinking, right? Like, why do we do this? We're trying to promote this niche, weird kind of music. I'm going to talk about like upcoming tours coming to Chicago in a bit. And I just want to, you know, make sure everybody knows like how to support bands. Heavy metal music doesn't make any money, right? People ask us if we make money off of this program, and we do not, right? There is no point in me like having any kind of like, you know, ads or something on this to make a couple of bucks, right? It's just gonna kind of invite trouble. And it's not that big of operation. It'll never become that big of an operation just due to our subject matter and like how specific and, you know, weird and stuff it is. But gosh, the people in this kind of music are just so devoted. So when a band comes through town, or in other ways that you can at all support a band through your dollars, go ahead and try to do that. Don't get over your skis. Don't pay any more money than you can afford, but kind of help support bands. This extreme metal music, it isn't like that long of a type of music, and you can make the case like even in the last 20 years, the last 10 years, it just continues to evolve. It continues to add different kinds of influences and such, and it's just like such an interesting kind of thing. So support your bands, support metal music and extreme metal music, and that's kind of, you know, part of our purpose here, is just to bring you things that, you know, we're fans of or that we find interesting as well. Interesting thing about that, about another letter to the editor magazine from Decibel. This would be the month after, which would be October magazine letter to editor. It was kind of funny because it talks about like Ozzy tribute, and, you know, why they didn't have like Ozzy on the cover, and just how Ozzy kind of belonged to everybody. Everybody knows Ozzy's story, everybody appreciates it, kind of thing, and you know, they didn't need to promote him, was kind of the gist. Also, I got in some trouble when the magazine showed up in the mail. Betty, my partner, was kind of like, "What the hell is that?" You know, so I had to dig up Castle Rat and play that. So yeah, I think some of this, like, you know, return to heavy metal stuff's a little overblown. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I showed her that she had a voice as well, and it just wasn't about that magazine cover. My longtime friend, my longtime buddy Jeremy, he made that look like he was dead. He's still alive. He's still alive, and he'll appreciate that flub. So my buddy Jeremy, he's into music. He goes to a ton of concerts. He kind of holds the end of the line for me. He likes like the slower, like heavier, crawling stuff at times. We go to a lot of shows together when we can. When he comes up to Chicago, that kind of thing. Want to start a new segment where we're gonna call it like Jeremy's shirts. Jeremy's shirts. Jeremy's shirts. Jeremy's shirts. Jeremy has quite an eclectic collection of shirts like none I've ever seen. Very interesting, some gross, some very niche, some with like super offensive writing on the front or back or whatever, which makes it kind of interesting. So first one we have that he sent me is a Primitive Man shirt. Jeremy said that he got this at place called Ribco. I believe that's in Rock Island, Illinois. He purchased it off the bass player. He said he couldn't quite remember the time frame or anything, but he thought it was on the Cossack tour. So I'm gonna put that about 2017, 2018 from a timing perspective. There's no way that those dates are going to be mixed up. So this one's not real old or real offensive or anything, but what's interesting about this shirt, so he's at the show and Primitive Man didn't have anything in 2X size, which is the size that he wears, but they did have a 2X leftover shirt from a tour they did in Mexico. So the shirt we have today presented is the Primitive Man Mexico tour shirt that my buddy got in approximately 2017 in Rock Island, Illinois. Jeremy Shirts! Jeremy Shirts! Jeremy Shirts! I want to draw attention to the two new Undeath songs, like two singles that came out at the beginning of August. It's a great 2-song release. The first song, Enter Patient, is a tad slower, very Cannibal Corpse in the guitar tone. I mean, I hear it right off. And the first song ends with like this like spooky kind of ending that leads just nicely into the second song called Endless Graveyard. Check out this little 2-song combo if you missed it. Came out from Undeath. What a great band Undeath is, right? It just sounds like they're gonna be around a long time, and they just are just a very solid long-term death metal band. Their last 2 albums have just been absolutely excellent, right? I don't listen to their first album much anymore, but Lesions, that song, that album is just still so great. And yeah, every time I hear the song Vanish the Blade, I get like inspired to do spin kicks that I can't do anymore, or probably have never been able to do. So yeah, check out Undeath's a couple new songs that came out. This is a fantastic band with a couple of more fantastic songs given to us this year. I have a bit of a cold, so if I sound a little snottier than normal, that's the problem. But oh my gosh, we wanted to spend some time with the upcoming tours. OMG, the fall and early winter tour cycle is firing up, and they are busy. Necrot is at Reggie's on September 17th. That's a Wednesday. On September 26th, Russian Circles is at Thiulia Hall. On September 27th, Bruce Dickinson is at the Vic Theater. There was does everybody know about Balls to Picasso? At the end of July, and this was in that Black Braid magazine, the Decibel Black Braid magazine, coincidentally. Editor, and then I thought I saw this. Bruce Dickinson. His 1994 solo album was called Balls to Picasso, and this next version is called More Balls to Picasso. I asked Copilot what Balls to Picasso was translated in English. I thought I had a pretty good answer, actually. It said, "Forget trying to be highbrow or abstract. I'm doing things my way." So I think this is, like balls is like a dismissal, defiance, or rebellion or something. It's kind of like saying like, screw that, forget that. It's a slightly cheeky, slightly vulgar way of rejecting something with a bit of bravado or attitude. So this was after his Maiden album, and he had a solo album before, but this was the one after he had left Iron Maiden, actually. So it might be kind of like a cheeky reference to that. If you've never heard this album, Balls to Picasso, take a look. They re-released it, I think it was July this year, 2025, the More Balls to Picasso thing. Added some stuff to it. There's like some synths and kind of like the guitar. It's kind of like they dialed up the guitar a little bit in certain songs, and it's got more of like that organ style kind of guitar sound to it that's added. Hopefully that makes sense. If you haven't heard this, I mean, take a look. Otherwise, best tracks if you want to sample it: Cyclops, 1,000 Points of Life, and Laughing in the Hiding Bush, and of course the mega epic song Tears of the Dragon. If you've not, have you ever listened to Tears of a Dragon? It's an incredible song. It's got Bruce Dickinson, some of his like most powerful, amazing vocals, and there's just this like epic ripping solo in the middle, like towards the middle end of the song, that just like rocks through this thing. It's like incredible. It's incredible. Do you know how like fucked up the 90s were? I'm gonna give you an example. So in 1994, I went to a Jackal concert. I believe it was in Davenport, Iowa, because visited quite a few shows at a place in that city. Jackal's opening act was Bruce Dickinson's solo band and solo project. When we were waiting outside to get in, yeah, this would have been back in the day with like more time and kind of showing up early, and things were a little bit rougher in the 90s. You know, had to really fight to be up front kind of thing. So Bruce Dickinson, he came around and he was like signing stuff. He was just going down, signing stuff, being real polite to the fans out there, almost like just approaching us, like standing in line. It was super cool. I remember the show. It gave like an amazing performance. So if you've never heard of Jackal either, they were this like bluesy kind of really hard rock metal band, and their shtick was that they would implement an actual chainsaw into songs. So not like forget about your H2M kind of thing, but an actual chainsaw that they would do, and they would do it live as well. So the singer came out and he would like fire up a chainsaw, and he would like chainsaw up like a bar stool on stage. Like he would actively take and like saw through that thing during their songs and stuff. And you know, just kind of like, I thought it was an okay band. It really was. It really was. I am so sorry for the divergence. They have given me a piece of papers to keep track with this, so we want to make sure we keep talking about concerts coming up. On October 3rd, White Reaper is playing at the Cobra Lounge. Their new album is coming out on September 26th. My producer turned me on to these guys a few years ago. Check out their last full-length song or album. I mean, it was called Asking for a Ride. 2021, is that right? That seems like too long ago. 2021, 2023, I bet it is. I kind of get White Reaper as like a mix between like Green Day and Led Zeppelin. So they have like a rock and roll swagger to them that's kind of timeless, with just like quirkiness to it, like with the way the vocals are and the way it's like a little like off time, out of tune, creates like kind of like these interesting songs, if you will. The first 3 songs off of that last album, Asking for a Ride, well, basically if you hear that, it'll let you know if you like them or not. From like, and I wouldn't call it like extreme music or anything like that, but check out that band, or you know, maybe somebody metal adjacent would like that as well. Interesting band, and the reason I kind of cite them as connected to Zeppelin, there's almost like a rock and roll like timelessness to them. You can hear some of the other influences, like I don't want to say like the punk or pop punk, if you will, but like there is a timeless to them. So it's interesting. They're on the cusp of like, what are we going to do with this project? You know, where's it going to go from here? And there's been a little bit of change in the personnel. So I'm really interested to see like how this thing, this next album turns out. Thou is at the Beat Kitchen on October 3rd as well. So if you like the slow, really heavy stuff, check out Thou. On October 5th, Alice Cooper and Judas Priest are at the big old Credit Union 1 amphitheater thingy. That's our big outdoor show thing here in Chicagoland at a town called Tinley Park. Mutilation Barbecue is at Reggie's on October 9th. That's a Thursday, but I do have my eye on that one. Give Mutilation Barbecue's 2021 EP a try. It's great. I think it's just called Mutilation Barbecue, and it features a song called Mutilation Barbecue from the band Mutilation Barbecue on the album Mutilation Barbecue. Listen to the song Mutilation Barbecue. That acid tub, that acid bath riff gets stuck in my head all the time. That's a cool album. Nile and Cryptopsy, October 10th at Reggie's. Oh, I am going camping that weekend. Otherwise, I would already have a ticket to that thing. It is going to be awesome. Black Raid, October 4th. At Reggie's. I do have a ticket to that, and I'm not sure why this one's out of order. Are we doing this right? What are we doing here? What are we even doing? A bunch of us plan to attend that show. I've basically been jamming that new album just since it's come out. Basically, like, all I've listened to this last month, like all throughout August, have been like Black Braid and the Deftones, right? Check out the Deftones video that we just did. Appears like nobody else did, so if you want to see that, I think it might be interesting to hear like my legacy with that as well, because I go back to the origin of that band and just kind of connecting this with, you know, the theme of like how long music's been around. Extreme music, or like these kinds of like heavy metals have been around not that long, but luckily I've been a part of it and haven't died yet, so I'm still part of it, I guess. Fetus, October 18th with Gates of Hell. That's at the Forge in Joliet. 6 Feet Under, October 18th. They're with Wretched and In Sight at the Avondale Music Hall. Last year I saw 6 Feet Under with Nile, and they were actually pretty incredible. Now, it'd been a long time since Barnes had toured. The band had toured. They didn't do any new album stuff. They were celebrating the Haunted album, the 30-year anniversary of that. And his voice is very unique and just quite frankly better live. I don't know if they do stuff to it. It sounded like not, but it has just got like such an interesting way that the sounds come out of Barnes. So 6 Feet Under, Avondale, October 18th. Vader is October 19th at Reggie's. Oh my gosh, it's Metal-tober. Better have some Oktoberfest to celebrate. Rocktober with Oktoberfest. October 22nd, Revocation is with Vomit 4th at Reggie's. New album coming out September 26th from Revocation. We had a little short that we posted, saw that tour a while back with the Outer Ones tour, and man, that was awesome. Dave can play guitar, man. October 23rd, listen to this lineup. Go check this out. Lorna Shore, Black Dahlia, Shadow of Intent, Peeling Flesh. Lorna Shore's new one is coming out this Friday. Peeling Fresh is fresh off of 2024's album, The G Code. And they're already about to release another album called PF Radio 2. So get your slam on. I really enjoyed that when I got to see them. I really enjoyed that. I thought that G Code album was excellent, and I thought seeing them live, while it sounded a little different, it was just like super amazing. October 27th, Between the Buried and Me are at the Vic Theater here in Chicago. There's some kind of like Gods of Chaos thing going on Halloween at the Aragon Ballroom. 3-6 Mafia, which is like a hip hop or rap band or something, but they're with a whole bunch of metal bands. 200 Stab Wounds, Suicide Silence, Snuffed on Sight, Body Box were the ones that I recognized from that Halloween show. I bet that's super fun with the costumes and stuff. That would just be like super neat to check out. Going to November 5th, Sang Souzabog, Despised Icon, Defeated Sanity, Corpse Pile are at the Metro. The new Sang Souzabog album comes out on October 10th. We'll be listening to that. I've always wanted to see Despised Icon. They're one of the few like deathcore bands I could get through a whole like album of. Their new album comes out on Halloween, which I just kind of found that out. I love the first 4 songs off of their album Day of Mourning, Mourning, Day of Mourning. Those first 4 songs are incredible, and they're probably like the main reason that I'm even interested in that band at all. Despised Icon defeated Sanity on that tour, right? Their album came out last year and it was super cool. It would be awesome if they played that Condemned to Vascular Famine song live. I just, with that like 3/3 kind of like time thing to it. Oh, it's just so good. And then there's this band, Corpse Pile on it. Was Corpse Pile, did they do that Christmas album last year? I think right around Christmas they released a Christmas album. So check that out. Corpse Pile with the, Carol of the Bells. Death, DTA, is at the Forge with Phobophilic on November 9th. Ne Aspergericardis, Rivers of Nile, and Psychropic are November 2nd at the Forge. Hometown Heroes, Born of Osiris, are at the Bottom Lounge on November 9th as well. And Get Crushed with Ulcerate at Reggie's on November 11th. Christian are also at Reggie's on November 23rd with Abysmal Dawn and Pyrexia. Just saw announced Vitriol will be playing a headlining concert at Reggie's as well on November 30th. Does Reggie's sell season passes? I think I should just get the season pass. That would be awesome. December 9th at House of Blues, Cattle Decapitation, Aborted, Frozen Soul, and Tribal Gaze. I have seen Cattle Decap so many times, Aborted a bunch, Frozen Soul a few times, and man, they're gonna put on a good show. December 9th is the middle of a week, and it's in December, so it's unlikely that I would be able to go to that, just because, like, damn, there's gonna be a lot going on that month. On December 12th, Acid Bath is playing at the Salt Shed, and I believe that's sold out. So just a heads up. If it's not, please let me know. I'm gonna go listen to Tears of the Dragon. That's it.